You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That ball is history. A walk-off home run.
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge.
Oh, good evening and welcome into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. However you are listening, wherever you may be, thank you for joining us tonight, whether that's on 94.1 FM right here in San Antonio, all the way up through Austin and out towards the coast, signal that goes for miles. Maybe you're listening online at sasportstar.com via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player. Or if you're part of our YouTube crew, that's right, the bullpen. Juan Garcia, Fred Records, Goldfinger123, Frank Valdez, Miguel Martinez. Appreciate y'all for already being in the chat. Of course, you can join the show on our YouTube channel at SA Sports Star. Subscribe, like, go ahead and comment along with the show. Or if you want to be a part of the show, feel free to call in 210-656-ESPN. That is 210-656-ESPN. You can also get me on X at I Am Pledger. Also at Instagram, you can get the station at SA Sports Star. Free agency, it's here. We ready. And the Spurs started off with a move right off the rip, which we're not used to in terms of the San Antonio Spurs. They're usually not very active in the very first parts of free agency. But Chris Paul was waived by the Golden State Warriors, making him a free agent, and the Spurs swooped in 1 year, $11 million. And I love watching the reaction to some of Spurs Nation on Twitter in terms of the hypocrisy and the talking out of both sides of your mouth. Last week, and I didn't really get a show last week because of the draft and all these other things, but last week it was, we need vets. We can't have these young kids. You got to move one of these picks. Well, they moved 8. They end up getting a haul in terms of an unprotected first in 2031 and a top 1 protected pick swap in 2030. Sure. About 6 years from now. People also were very upset with the DeJounte trade when they made it. Now, apparently, the 2025 Atlanta pick is untouchable because it is so valuable. Well, 2030 and 31, we're years down the road. At that point, Anthony Towns may no longer be a part of the Timberwolves, and even if he is, he's going to be in his late 30s, and Anthony Edwards is coming off of his extension, and it lines up right all around that time. That is foresight by the San Antonio Spurs, getting something in a bad draft that could be very valuable down the road, or this coming year in terms of the Lauri Markkanen trade rumors. You need assets to be able to acquire veteran from other teams. Well, you just got more assets with that 8th pick. I think a lot of Spurs fans were very keen to the idea of drafting a Rob Dillingham in the first place. And so once they saw his name called, that's all they could think about. They already had their guy. It was Stephon Castle. That pick was made specifically for Minnesota. They made the trade. They made the pick to trade it away. And so we need vets. We need to move these assets. We need to go acquire more veterans. Well, they got a veteran. They got Chris Paul. And I'm saying, oh, he's old. He's washed. He can't help this team. It is a waste of money. There's no winning with Spurs fans a lot of the time. Yes, he is older, but he brings a lot of value in terms of he can still play. He averaged almost 12 points a game and 7 assists down the stretch last year for the Warriors once he kind of found his niche in that lineup. And on top of that, he's going to be very valuable to a team that we all say needs veteran leadership. He is a veteran leader. He is a guy that can come in, teach the way, and move this organization forward, as well as help to groom a Stephon Castle, who you took with the 4th overall pick, and a guy that is going into a position that he has not quite brought all the way up to speed. He's not fully a point guard. He's played it. He's done whatever he's been asked to do, but Chris Paul can help show him, lead him, and bring him along at that position for this year and have him take over and run with it after that. The move makes a lot of sense in a lot of different ways. There's also the rumors that they have been interested in Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez would be a great addition to the Spurs roster. As a matter of fact, I think he'd be a much better addition in the role that Zach Collins currently plays. He is a prime defender and would help to give you, especially off the bench when Wemby goes to sit, a 5 that has some defensive versatility, can spread the floor the way we hoped Zach Collins would, but never really worked into, and provide more veteran leadership. He is a name that has been mentioned, but the biggest name that has been mentioned is, like I said, Lauri Markkanen. And I bring it to you. Look, they're trying in Utah to pump up his trade value, right? They're trying to pump up his trade value, and they should. And Danny Ainge has made a living off of building rosters with draft picks. Look what he did with the Boston Celtics. Everybody likes to credit that to Brad Stevens now. That was Danny Ainge that built that team. That was Danny Ainge that traded from 1 to 3 and still got Jason Tatum, who, by the way, just signed a massive extension for $314 million to go along with the $300 million extension that Jaylen Brown signed a year prior. They spent money on, unfortunately, Derek White, who I always had a hope that you could bring him back with all the money that they were spending on a Drew Holiday, on now Jason Tatum, on Brown, on Kristaps Porzingis. Speaking of Porzingis, Lauri Markkanen can be that and some for the San Antonio Spurs. I think it was very interesting. In the last few minutes, they just dropped kind of a low post with Bobby Marks and Zach Lowe of ESPN on the Low Post podcast. And there was this interesting debate with Zach Lowe and Bobby Marks on Lauri Markkanen to SA. And it makes so much sense for so many reasons. And I also don't think I'd mind. This is Zach Lowe and Bobby Marks on the Low Post podcast talking about Lauri Markkanen and his potential fit in San Antonio.
Markkanen is the exact right age where you say it lifts our ceiling with Wembanyama now. And by the way, this dude is ready to make an All-NBA team immediately. And he's young enough where we're not going all in on a player that's too far out of Wembanyama's timeline. I could see the rubber meeting the road at Devin Vassell. And that's the most interesting piece to me for the Spurs, because they rightfully believe he is an absolute A-plus fit as a three-point shooter. He's not a 3-and-D guy yet, but he's got some tools defensively that he needs to lock into next to Wemby. He's the best fit next to Wemby that they have on the team long-term. We'll see how this Castle kid pans out. And I could see the Jazz being like, well, why would we do this deal without him in it? And so that's interesting. But they're the team I would pay attention. What else did you want to say about the Spurs?
No, that was who just the people you kind of just poke around the league. That's the team that's kind of come up a lot. Them, certainly, as I mentioned, Golden State. I just don't know.
Do they have enough?
That's the thing, right? Like, what do you got?
That was always the thing with the Sixers. It's like Sixers, but there was all this dreams of Markkanen going there. I'm like, and they could trade up to 4 first-round picks. Yeah. There's some shenanigans, but like, who's the player? Someone can beat that.
Yeah, and I think that's what Utah, like. Listen, they've got 15 or 16. I think future ones. They got all the Cleveland and Minnesota. They got a Laker first in 27. think, yeah, 27. But eventually you got to get better. Like, you know, like you got to have like there's got to be like a guy involved if you're going to trade him that comes back, not just, you know, draft picks and expiring contracts.
That was Bobby Marks, NBA former GM and ESPN insider on the Zach Lowe podcast as they talk about it. And seems like Devin may be the sticking point when it comes to San Antonio. So, Spurs fans, and Jacob Eric says, bye, Devin, it was fun. Reading my mind, would you want to put Devin Vassell into that deal? Or, and this is a big or, you try and move Keldon along with the picks, but in order to keep Devin, you have to give up Atlanta's 2025 pick. It's going to cost more. It's either going to cost more picks to keep 2025 and player, or it's going to cost more to keep Devin. At some point, a trade has to hurt if it is worth it. There's got to be something that makes you go, ah. And Lauri Markkanen, an all-star player, 23 and nearly 10, almost a double-double, shoots about 39% from the three-point line and absolutely adds to this team in terms of offensive ability, defensive ability, and his ability to create his own shot as well. A pick-and-roll duo trio with Paul, Wemby, and Lauri Markkanen would be the Kristaps Porzingis effect for the Boston Celtics on steroids. That's the kind of presence that I think he could go. And you take a Chris Paul, you keep a Devin Vassell, you add a Lauri Markkanen with Wemby, and all of a sudden that's a team that I think could make a run into the playoffs and maybe even advance in the playoffs this upcoming season. What say you? 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. Wookie says the Atlanta pick is more valuable than any trade. That is the most important thing. Frank Valdez says untouchable, the 2025 picks, all of them. Nicholas says, yes, I imagine you assume move all the picks, move what you can to get them. We're going to find out from the man himself. Rob Thompson will be joining me next here on Extra Innings as we talk about the addition of Chris Paul and the potential of a Lauri Markkanen on the Spurs and what it could mean and how much you would be willing to give up if it meant adding a Lauri Markkanen to this team and how good that team could be in the West this upcoming season. That's all coming up here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Grill out and chill out with Family Dollar. Enjoy smoking hot deals on cookout classics served with a side of savings. Top it all off with a thirst-quenching drink or frozen treat. Plus, save more than ever before when you use smart coupons.
We know money can't buy happiness, but money did buy your boat, where you find peace fishing, unlike at home with 3 teenage daughters. Because fish never argue about who stole whose crop top, or get mad the other fish used up all the hot water. No, they just swim around, never embarrassed to be seen with you in public. So save money by bundling your boat or RV insurance with home or auto from Progressive. And buy more happiness, or something close to it. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers, not available in all states.
Summer. What's not to love? Well, maybe not the scorching temperatures. Every day can't be 75 degrees with a nice breeze. So I went to Kohl's and stocked up on stylish looks that'll keep me and my husband cool all season long. I found great prices on linen dresses, cute jumpsuits, comfy polos, and so much more. So bring on the summer heat. We're ready to weather it in style. And all thanks to Kohl's. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Buyers Barricades is proud to provide traffic control, rental, and sales for work zones and events in the San Antonio area and beyond. Buyers Barricades, the Texas authority in barricade rental. Learn more online at buyersbarricades.com. That's buyersbarricades.com.
July 4th doorbusters are here at Lowe's, so don't miss your chance for big summer savings. Right now, save $30 on a Project Source 18-inch sink bathroom vanity. Was $129, now just $99. And save $10 on a Never Kink 50-foot hose. Was $29.98, now just $19.98. Hurry, these deals won't last long because Lowe's knows savings. Offers valid through 7/1. Selection varies by location. While supplies last.
O'Reilly. You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The biggest pro football contests in Vegas are back. Circa Survivor and Circa Million are now up to a record $16 million in guaranteed prizes. 2 ways to win and no rate. Circa Survivor contestants select one team each week with no point spread. Last the longest to win it all with $10 million guaranteed. In Circa Million, make 5 picks against the spread each week for your share of $6 million guaranteed through quarterly and full season payouts. Enter in Nevada. Play from anywhere. Visit circasports.com for details.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit, hims.com/joy.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I appreciate everybody for joining in today, all those watching on the stream, all those listening on the radio, and all of those on our YouTube chat. Of course, we've got a lot going on, especially with the Spurs and free agency underway. Wookie says the Atlanta pick isn't needed for the Lauri Markkanen trade. KJ and Sohan plus a handful of useless second-round picks. Like, if you think that's all that's going to take to get him, come on. Well, you're smarter than that. You are much smarter than that. But to talk about the goings-on in free agency, I decided to bring in one of my favorite voices when it comes to basketball. He is Rob Thompson of the Morning Huddle. Catch him weekdays from 6 to 10 with AJ Hoffman right here on San Antonio Sports Star. And Rob, I hear like your family may have fallen into a windfall of money. Your son signs with the Mavericks in a 3-team trade.
It seems like that's the case, though my allegiance still stays in San Antonio. But for those unaware, my youngest son is named Clayton, not K with a K, Thompson. So both cursed and blessed at the same time. But yeah, welcome to Texas, Clay. Now the worst of luck to you from here on out.
Well, it didn't get much better in the way he ended his time in Golden State. What was he, 0 for 11, 0 points? Nice way to kind of close out his Warriors tenure.
Well, that kind of, he wasn't alone in that effort. That team was pretty lousy with him and without him. So, yeah, it's sad to see a guy that's not going to be able to retire, but it feels very Tony Parker-esque. He's going to take a little charge at something and hopefully return home and leave Steph Curry to kind of mind the store in a franchise that is about to just collapse over the next 2 years. You know, Steph and Steve Kerr's contracts both expire in 2 years.
Yep.
So it is about to get weird for
So
them.
are you saying they're future Spurs?
We've already benefited a little bit, right? Hey, by the way, has Keldon and anybody talked about the number 3 for Chris Paul? Has there been an offer made? Have we discussed?
Well, I'm sure the offer was made for Lauri Markkanen.
Oh, wait,
to open up that jersey number. That's, I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on. There's a lot to get into. Of course, CP3, the draft, but I want to start with the rumors surrounding Lauri Markkanen, and everybody well knows how long I've been chasing this cat to manifest him into San Antonio, and it sounds like there are actually substantive talks with the Utah Jazz in terms of potentially getting Lauri, who's going into the final year of his deal, and bringing him to San Antonio to potentially pair him with a Victor Wembanyama. And the question becomes, how much is too much for a Lauri Markkanen, an all-star player, a guy that's a 23-8 guy, a guy that shoots well from the outside, has enough to create off the dribble that could create a potential matchup nightmare in the front court for the San Antonio Spurs, offensively and defensively even.
All right, quit preaching to the choir. We all know you love him. Yeah, I think it'd be worthy of a discussion, but we're talking about an all-star. This isn't going to go for future consideration and a check.
Nope.
We're going to have to spend some money and some capital here. How much are you willing to part with, James Fletcher, to get a Markkanen? Because I'm settling for nothing less than 2 number ones, one of them unprotected. I'm going to need a starter. I'll probably need another player.
I can do all of those things.
Okay. Okay. Now this is where you sit, though. You have a little bit more hand than anybody else in the league. Got $14 million in the bank. That's great.
15 draft picks over the next 6-7 years.
And here's the kicker: you've got $40 million next year to spend, and the possibility of 3 top 10 draft picks.
Yep.
So how much are you willing to wager and give away? And if you're willing to give away, I think Utah would be willing to talk. But I tell you, the starting bid is Devin and 2 number ones. That's the minimum that we start talking about.
According to Zach Lowe, it does seem like Devin is coveted by Utah in terms of potential return rate. And to me, Devin lessens the pick load, but if you want to hold the 2025 Atlanta pick as close to your heart as possible, that's going to increase the amount of future draft picks and players that are also in return, because remember who you're dealing with. It's Danny Ainge.
I know. And by the way, James, you don't get any Danny, Dwayne Wade, Danny, you hear me? You're getting nothing from next year. Next year's draft is right now is as valuable as it will ever be. With every passing day, it might get a little bit more, but as we said today, there's 4 or 5 guys that would have gone well ahead of number 1 this year already. We know. So, and it's deep at every kind of position the Spurs need. So if we're willing to wait a little bit, not only will there be $40 million to go buy a Lauri Markkanen that has everything else too, so, and at the same time load up on a couple of low-end free agents or low-end rookies to carry you through for a couple years with all this extra money. So Lauri Markkanen a couple of weeks ago would have been an extraordinary get for the Spurs. Now you're going to have to make it really, really interesting to me to make any kind of deal, because the Devin and Lauri Markkanen, that's a lateral move. These guys are essentially the same dude. They play a little bit different position, but they're standing out there taking threes and putting the ball on the ground and playing some good to better defense for Devin than Lauri. But really, they're the same guy in the same part of the neck of the woods, and really going to be paid about the same, though Lauri's ahead of the game.
He is Rob Thompson of the Morning Huddle. Catch him weekdays 6 to 10 with AJ Hoffman right here on San Antonio Sports Star. Okay, so because it's Danny Ainge, you expect that price to not be cheap. And I see people in our chat talking Keldon Jeremy and 2 first-rounders. I don't think that gets it done.
I think it probably would.
You think
let's not paint Lauri Markkanen into high all-star caliber here. He has a better board game than a lot of people think. He can get to the rim, he can attack, and that's if you get rid of Keldon, there's really only other rim attack guy left on the team other than a couple of deep backups. It's going to be Castle. Keldon's job was to live at the rim, pick up fouls, control tempo with free throws and a lot of other stuff that we don't talk about. Somebody's still got to do that. So there's some value in there, but I don't think that's much more than that. If I'm giving up 2 players and 2 legitimate starters, you're going to send me another starter too. If I'm sending you 2 starters and number ones, you better be sending me a starter and a bench guy back. Because I don't have to make this deal. I got so many draft picks and so much money, I don't know what to do with myself. This is just an early dalliance. I'm window shopping. Now, if you say yes, I'll pull the trigger right now. But I'm in no hurry. I got the future of the world's basketball. We want to quibble over Lowry Markin, and go let him go. And that's the attitude I would have with a bunch of opportunities right now. If you're willing to just kind of bide your time, Zach LaVine is in purgatory right now. Now, he's a $50 million dude, but if you wait a year and that expiring contract comes available, holy smokes. So the Spurs have a lot of room and a lot of ways to play with this money to let them play with it for even longer if they do this right.
The other news that has come out since free agency started is, of course, the addition of veteran point guard Chris Paul III. And I see Chris Paul in San Antonio, and we've been clamoring for vets. Rob, what are your thoughts of the addition of Chris Paul to this team?
What's to be mad at? You spent $11 million for a guy who you expect absolutely nothing from other than be a good guy and show us how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's on the court. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a starter, James, but that doesn't mean anything. You start a guy like him so that he can show the rest of the guys, okay, this is how we're going to play the game tonight. Go out there. You're going to set the pace. You're going to show the offense. You're going to let the pace get going, and I'm going to pull you. You're only going to play 12, 15 minutes, 20 minutes a game, but you're going to play some vital, get the ball rolling minutes. Show everybody, get the pace going, settle things down when I need to. But, if he plays in 40 games, it's a win because it's not the games, it's the practices, it's the things on the flight, it's how you handle not being able to actually go through a real workout for a week or 2 at a time. That's the thing that rookies, I think, have the most trouble adapting to is you don't practice. You do a lot of walkthroughs, but you're too busy getting on the flight and trying to get to the next city to really get more than one practice a week. So it takes veterans to kind of help. It's a word that I hate saying, but it's true. Inculcate, to teach by both word and action how you become a pro. And there's no better one out there than Chris Paul. He hadn't gotten here this long without doing some things right. And I think it's kind of, I don't know how to paint this. I can't imagine why he's here. I'll be real honest. There must have been nobody else knocking because he came here knowing full well there is no ring in his future unless some kind of miracle happens. And, it just isn't. So he's either playing for his future. And AJ this morning threw something out that does make a little bit of sense.
Okay.
This is a 1-year deal. If he comes and shows up and plays well, he becomes rather valuable at the trade deadline. Inspiring, take a team right over the top. So it could be a short-term investment that won't even last past the All-Star game, that no matter what happens, if, in fact, we can see a Chris Paul that's healthy, can offer 20 minutes a game, and do the things that, a team just one dude away looking for an $11 million contract to close out and expire, you can extract a fair amount with that kind of thing. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is just kind of a short-term investment to pad next year even further. And then you get the knowledge from Chris Paul to go along with it. So don't be surprised if he's even that kind of a short-term mercenary. They didn't even make it through half the year, but he's here long enough to teach and show and then move on and allow the Spurs to, carry forward with some much younger dudes.
And there's also the Chris Paul effect that he has on teams. Early in his career, 18 to 38 wins for the Hornets year before to year of acquiring him. Clippers went from 32 to 40 and then to 56 wins with Chris Paul on the roster. Remember, the Rockets went from 55 to 65 wins when they added him. Then when he went to Oklahoma City, he turned that team into a playoff team in Oklahoma City.
There's the reason he's here. Everything else, James, he was 10 years younger. This is a 36, 7-year-old dude. There ain't a whole lot to get.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw what happened at Golden State. He spent most of the year hurt, and when he was healthy, they just couldn't figure out how to play together. There's some negatives here. There's a reason why he signed for $11 million. He didn't call the Spurs first. We might act like he did, but this, you know what I mean? I know that there's some talk about him becoming a coach, and who better to learn at the foot of, and and all the things that go on with playing with Wemby, because that light will shine directly on him and all of his sponsors. So it kind of helps the business side of Chris Paul, but the ring's the thing for this dude. He doesn't want to have to sit next to Charles Barkley at every kind of NBA gathering for those that didn't ever get it. So I don't think he wanted to come here first. But we provided a safety net, and we can both benefit each other. I have zero expectation of, is he going to actually win a game for us and do something extraordinary? Probably not. But everybody who plays with him will be better for it.
And lastly, Rob, I haven't really got to talk to you a whole lot since the draft with everything that's been going on the last week, but thoughts on the Spurs draft, from moving the 8th pick to acquiring future assets, to the additions of the draft and stash, the Harrison Ingram, and of course the belle of the ball, the 4th overall pick, one Stephon Castle out of UConn.
What excites me more than anything else about this draft was I get the sense that they kind of tried to stay in their lane. Don't think you're the smartest guy in the room. Don't step in if you're not absolutely sure, and just do the proper thing at the proper time. The old Belichick, just do your job. And at 4, you go ahead and get the guard you desperately need. You look around the landscape of the draft and realize $9 million looks better than anybody here. So you allow Minnesota to take the pick. You draft a dude from Spain that may or may not pan out. He's probably not coming next year. And if he does, we ain't going to see him. So I don't have any investment there. And then you find this little diamond in the rough in the 2nd round. Harrison Ingram, remember 2 years ago when he was at Stanford? We were talking to him then.
5-star recruit.
And he would have been a lottery type. I guarantee you there's been a Spurs coach watching Harrison Ingram play since he was at St. Mark's when I was sitting in the gym. So this is up in Dallas. He's a Texas kid that they brought home. This is a brilliant pick. I can't. There's guys when he is going to make this team. Now he's going to spend some time in Austin because he spent time at Stanford and in North Carolina with ill-defined roles. He left Stanford and went to North Carolina and just filled what other gap was required. When he was at Stanford, it was a mess. It just got ugly there, and he had to get out of there. So I think this it's not a Manu kind of 2nd round pick, but this is a dude that's going to be a Spur for a minute. I'm really happy for that. And for all of that, if you want to look at a grade, I don't know. What do you grade for doing exactly what you were supposed to do and not having to even try to do anything over? You needed a first down. You got a first down. You didn't throw for the end zone. You didn't do anything stupid or weird. And they sit here with more money, $14 million, and a potential for 3 top 10 picks thereabout next year. It's hard to be upset. Now we just got to get through the pain of teaching these kids how to play basketball. It ain't going to be easy, and it's not going to be fun early, but it's going to be an interesting ride to see how quickly things catch on around here.
He is Rob Thompson. Catch him and AJ Hoffman every weekday morning, 6 to 10 on the Morning Huddle. Great show, great time. Always enjoy talking to you. Rob, thanks for the time this afternoon.
Appreciate you, my friend. I'm going to go pick some tomatoes.
Ooh. Fresh home out of the garden tomatoes?
Farm. Yeah, that's what we do around here on Thompson Hill.
All right. Not mad at that. I'm a big fan of tomatoes.
Well, there'll be a bag sitting in the studio tomorrow. Make sure you take them home and eat them. No, thanks for everything. We will see everybody in the morning. I'll be on there at 6. Be there early.
Be there early. Get in class. That is Rob Thompson joining me on the Buyers Barricades guest line. All guests join via the Buyers Barricades guest line. They provide traffic control, rental, and sales for San Antonio and beyond. They are online at buyersbarricades.com. Well, the University of Texas has finally made it into the SEC, and they did it in the most Texas way ever with a grand day-long, weekend-long announcement on the SEC network. We'll talk about what to expect as all of their programs head into the vital SEC, and we're already starting to hear some bold predictions from those in the SECs, mainly the SEC's mouthpiece, Paul Feinbaum. We'll let you know what he said coming up next right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
San Antonio Sports Star.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9047. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9047. That's 800-575-9047. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Looking for a way to elevate your engine's performance? Start with Napa Full Synthetic Engine Oil. It provides faster oil flow for hot and cold temperature protection in the harshest driving conditions. Regular use can help your engine run cleaner and longer by defending against sludge and buildup, improving overall engine performance and fuel efficiency while increasing the time between oil changes. Make the switch without slowing down. Feed your ride Napa Full Synthetic Engine Oil. Available now at Napa locations nationwide.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or apply stop, opt out. Minimum purchase required. Interest accrues from the date of purchase but is waived if paid within the promotional period. Go to windowappointmentnow.com for full offer details.
Attention homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? Fog between the glass? Spending too much and expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's time to replace.
And right now, you can get a free in-home consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen. Plus, during the month of July, buy one window or door and get one 40% off when you buy 4 or more.
Just text $$ to 200-300 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or doors for no money down, no monthly payments, and no interest for 12 months.
That's right. You don't pay a dime for 12 months. Plus, for July only, buy one window or door and get one 40%.
$1 to 200-300. Text the word $1 to 200-300. $1 to 200-300.
O'Reilly.
Need a little help? O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. Need advice? We've got advice. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Exceptional customer service. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low. It just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Only at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly. B21.
This is Andrew Monaco, and you're listening to the home of the Aggies, 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back to Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Anything you want to talk about, feel free to join me, 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Talk about the addition of Chris Paul, what it means for the Spurs, their potential interest in Lauri Markkanen, and how much would you be willing to give up to get a Lauri Markkanen. Miguel Martinez says Keldon, Jeremy, and 2 first-rounders. Protections? Unprotections? Nicholas says they have first-rounders for the next few years. You can use something else other than 2025's first-round picks. Absolutely true. But I imagine there is a penalty for not including 2025. It's all relative to what you want, how much you're willing to give, and how much you believe in 2025. Because, yeah, Ace Bailey, Cooper Flagg, there are a ton of prospects with a deep class. But if the Spurs are presumably better, like a lot of us think they potentially could be, along with the fact that Atlanta would potentially have to win or be in the top 2-3 in consecutive years. You start playing odds games. The Chicago pick is very, very protected, top 10. So you need them to fall out of the top 10, which the way that team is A, constructed, but also B, the will attach a pick to get rid of Zach LaVine talk lets me know that they don't want to be very good next year. And a lot of that will probably depend on them keeping their pick. It's going to be very interesting to see how the rest of this, so we are 24 hours into free agency, basically. What will the rest of this week look like? How will things plan out? And will a team like Utah budge on whatever their potential asking price is for a Lauri Markkanen right now? That's going to be the big player in all of whether the Spurs make this happen or if they pivot and go a different direction. Maybe they continue to chase the Brook Lopez factor up in Milwaukee. We'll have to see as the rest of free agency unfolds. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Lloyd D says on our YouTube chat in the bullpen, the Lakers failed him. No Lakers fan. It's a lot like Spurs. You're overreacting to the first 24 hours of free agency. LeBron has reportedly been okay with potentially taking a lesser deal to open up money. We thought it was going to be for a Klay Thompson. Now that it is not for a Klay Thompson, could they go get a Malik Monk or something like that? But I don't like to overreact to missing out on the first wave or whatever free agency. I like to take a step back and see what a team does in totality before really trying to evaluate or jump to too quick of a decision on what they end up doing via free agency, the draft, or anything else. It's going to be a brand new day for the 40 Acres as the University of Texas, they are heading to the SEC. And by going to the SEC, man, they have already punched one of the SEC opponents and what used to be a former rival of theirs right in the gut on their way into it by taking Jim Schlossnagle from the University of Texas A&M the day after they lose in a deciding Game 3 of the College World Series. And it was handled poorly. And I mentioned maybe he and Trev Alberts weren't on as great a footing as we thought, and that could be a potential reason for the looking to get out from Texas A&M. And the fact that the Fort Worth Star the Fort Worth Star Telegram has an interview that they posted, and maybe he and Trev Alberts weren't on great footing. And that kind of led to his exit. But I find it very hard to believe that Jim Schlossnagle, when asked this question by Paul Feinbaum about how he thought the perception of leaving for rival Texas would go over, I felt like this was a little bit short-sighted or just not knowing the particulars of the inner workings of the rivalry in Texas, in which you've been in Texas long enough to know that you should have seen this coming.
Said about you, so much has been commented. I mean, how would you describe this last 7 days?
I had an idea that it would be nuclear, but I didn't know it would be apocalyptic. But that just shows you the passion of the 12th man, to be honest with you. I mean, I think you can't ask people to be passionate and support your program the way I did when I was there, or the way you do it when you're at a great school like that. And then when something negative happens or a change, then there's going to be a reaction to that. And so it wasn't by design. I don't wish anybody bad future. Certainly they just hired one of our assistant coaches, and I'm excited for Coach Early, but this was just an opportunity for me to be with Chris and to do something special at a place that's been to more College World Series than any other school.
If you did not expect that kind of reaction, then you obviously have not paid attention to the landscape of Texas athletics during your time in Texas. And I say Texas college athletics, I mean the university, just the landscape of college athletics in the state of Texas as a whole. You had to have known better. You had to have known this was going to be a massive deal. And if you didn't know that it was going to be a massive deal, then you just can't have known what the state of Texas is like when it comes to the college landscape. And I find that to be close to another lie on his part when he talks about, oh, this deal came together in 24 hours. Oh, I didn't know it was going to be this bad of backlash. Oh, you did. You're just lying about it, and you're trying to smooth it over. And while he is a great coach, and I am excited for the program, and especially with the bringing back of Troy Tulowitzki, that's right, Tulo will be back as the Longhorns hitting coach. He was rehired earlier today. That's just part of the firestorm that not just being a part of Texas, but being a part of the SEC is going to put on this university, and more so in football than anything else. And this is a narrative and a storyline that will on the more or any amount that Quinn Ewers struggles moving forward, because Paul Feinbaum, when asked about the Texas quarterback position, who would be the starting quarterback by the end of the year for the Texas Longhorns, and Paul Feinbaum gave the exact answer you thought he would.
I have no intentions to tiptoe, Paul. Who will be the starting quarterback for Texas at the end of this upcoming season?
That will be Arch Manning. I don't need to tiptoe around that. That is guaranteed. You heard it. And we may even see him a little bit throughout the season.
That is guaranteed. And that is a very difficult thing to wrap your brain around when you're dealing with a Heisman candidate and front runner as your starting quarterback in Quinn Ewers. But because of the hype surrounding him, it is going to be very interesting to see how this season plays out for the Texas Longhorns, because this narrative will not go away. Every subpar performance, every interception thrown, God forbid there aren't that many of these, but any loss that they may suffer, the noise behind Arch Manning is only going to get louder and louder. Can this team manage to block out that outside noise and survive? That's going to be the biggest question for the Texas Longhorns football team this upcoming football season. It's going to be very interesting to kind of figure out how mentally tough this team is moving forward, because that's going to be a narrative that surrounds this football team for the entirety of the season. It doesn't matter how good they're playing, how great Quinn Ewers is playing, how well the football team is doing in general. That's always going to be in the background, and the more struggles that any of the, whether it's the team or the quarterback, or the more those happen, the louder those roars will become. This is Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. The Houston Astros are once again rolling, and just when we were ready to write them off, they breathe new life into the fan base. But could they be looking to make a big deal in terms of buying or even selling at the deadline despite all of their success? I'll explain what I mean next right here on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM and sasportstar.com.
GiveMeTheVin.com is America's best car buyer, paying top dollar for your car, truck, sports car, exotic. What are you waiting for? We want to buy your car right now. Find out why thousands of satisfied customers across the United States put more money in their pocket by going to GiveMeTheVin.com. I told my buyers, let's get them bought. Right now is the time to go.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
Let's hear it for the Clippers' new coach, Doc Rivers.
FX is clipped.
GMC is about to put out a tape of our idiot owner and his girlfriend.
The scandalous story
What's on the tape?
of LA's other basketball team.
I'm Mr. Sterling's right-hand arm, his confidant, his silly rabbit.
FX is clipped. Now streaming only on Hulu.
Do summer projects your way with 4th of July savings from the Home Depot. With free delivery on over 2 million items, you can make the most of summer grilling and dig into gardening. Plus, get same-day delivery on thousands of products like power tools and storage to tackle any last-minute garage project. Summer your way with 4th of July savings from the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order select and stock items by 4 p.m. subject to availability.
What's up? I'm Miles.
Hey, and I'm Jara.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich is how the flavors come together. First, I taste the smoky grilled chicken, then the pepper bacon with that maple bun, added with the sweet heat and the pickles.
I'm really solid on the pickle. It meets you in the middle with the sweetness and the heat.
It's spice-tastic.
Yum-licious.
Flavoristic.
The sandwich of the summer. The Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich.
Order the Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Let's go. Celebrate with 30% off 12 packs of soda when you buy 3 with Target Circle. Or get Doritos chips on sale, 2 for $6. I love it. Then make it a party with sprinkles. Select favorite day treats dressed in red, white, and blue are 20% off with Target Circle. And save even more. We've lowered prices on many summer faves like Up and Up sunscreen, Tillamook ice cream, Honest Kids juice boxes, and more. Target's 4th of July sale ends Saturday. Restrictions apply.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health San Antonio will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 210-615-7777. That's 210-615-7777. Or visit revivemenshealth.com.
This is Andrew Monaco and the Aggies play here. 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I appreciate y'all for joining me this evening. However you may be joining us, the Astros are now just 3 games back of the Seattle Mariners after getting a win earlier today to open up in Toronto 3-1. Just took a series from the red-hot Mets. You got to keep an eye on this team as the trade deadline approaches at the end of this month. Could they be a real player now in terms of buying? There has been rumored interest in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to play at first base, which would solve a big need. They've had tons of injuries on the pitching staff. Could they look to add some pitching? But I want to talk about the other side of things. Could they potentially be a seller at the trade deadline? This team has played well without Kyle Tucker in recent weeks and have gone on this hot tear without one of their best players. Now, you know what Tucker wants. He wants the years. He wants the money. And usually when it comes to Jim Crane and the Astros, they don't like to do those long 8-10-year deals, and you could potentially lose a Kyle Tucker in free agency for nothing, just like Paul George left the LA Clippers and they got nothing for him. Could this play without Kyle Tucker lead them to potentially look to moving him at the deadline, or are you willing to risk losing him for nothing to potentially chase one more ring with him? It's going to be a very interesting conundrum that the Astros have as the trade deadline approaches after the All-Star break and everything that's going on. But it's going to be very, very good to see the Astros back near the top of the division and back in contention again and back playing like one of the best teams in baseball. This has been Extra Innings with Pleasure. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM and sasportstar.com.
San Antonio Sports Star.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards concert tickets for your daughter to see that singer who sings about painful breakups. And one song will inspire your little beauty to break up with that beast.